Zoom. Okay, there we go. It's announcing it. All right, folks. Well, welcome. I am really excited to be a part of the team that is bringing you Leading for Community Impact, or LCI. We love our acronyms, and this is cohort 6. Um, and my name is Danielle Quiñones Ortega. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I am a Santa Maria native. There's just something I think about the Central Coast where even if you try to leave, you come back to it. And I really am a public servant through and through. I recently transitioned out of a manager role at UC Santa Barbara, where I served for over a decade and a half. And currently, I'm super fresh, maybe 2.5 months in to a new role where I serve as the division chief leading staff development division here at the County of Santa Barbara in Santa Maria. So still get to find an opportunity to stay home and serve this community. I am leading this team that supports staff through engagement, through leadership, through learning and development. So you can see that close connection that I have to growing people. And that's why I was so excited to continue working with leading from within through LCI. I'm an alumnus of the Catherine Harvey Fellows Program. It's another program that's offered by LFW, and have been working really closely with LFW as a leadership consultant since 2018. Krista, let me turn it over to you to do your intro.
Absolutely. My name is Krista Roth. I run a consulting practice working with nonprofits and social sector programs to support them in organizational development and executive coaching. I started that practice about 11 years ago. And I work nationally. I have clients all over the country. I wish I could say internationally, that'd be fun. But anyway, nationally. And that was after about a 25-year career as a leader in various educational nonprofits at the local and national level. And I think most importantly, I'm going to transition into my why. Why does this exist? Why is this program? I want to tell you a story where I had just recently stepped up into a role and I got a huge promotion as a leadership. And prior to that, I had been kind of like most of you probably are, a great individual producer. If you wanted something done, you go to me and I'd get it done. I'd figure out how to do it. And over time, I was recognized for those skills and been able to assume more and more responsibility. Until that day where I got a big promotion and I hit the wall. And my skills and tools and resources and strategies I had been using as an individual producer no longer worked in this bigger context. And I needed to retrofit or retool myself. In this job I was in, I found myself launching one of the first AmeriCorps programs, serving 100 AmeriCorps members across 10 Atlanta public schools with a staff of 15. And when I say I hit the wall, I literally hosted pity parties for me late at night, where I remember asking myself, where was I supposed to learn this? I went to school. I was even a business major. I've been doing along, but where does one really learn leadership? Where does one really learn the secret of how to manage people successfully? And it seems that the only tools that were available, particularly in the social sector, were trial and error, and a shelf in a bookstore. And so Leading from Within was looking to make a greater investment with North County leaders. And over the years, prior to this, I led another program called Emerging Leaders that is hosted in Santa Barbara. And basically what I've done is create the program I needed on that night with my head on the desk throwing a pity party for myself. I needed to be able to figure out how I build collaborative relationships with school partners. I needed to figure out how to lead a young but eager and inspiring staff. I needed to know how to deal with struggling performers. I needed to know how to manage up and manage my board and figure out how I could make sure that my program was well resourced and well capacitated. And so we've really built out a curriculum that is really meant to be walk with leaders who are in the field doing the work, in the struggle, in the arena, trying to increase their capacity to be an effective community leader. And so that is really the program that we've led, and Leading from Community Impact is that program. It's designed to give you tools and strategies to deal with a new set of challenges that we all often have as we move up in our career. But more importantly, it's meant to help you ground yourself as a leader and to trust your instincts and build your confidence and connect you to a peer of community leaders who are committed to doing the same thing for themselves. With a clear set of values and principles. So that's kind of where this program came out of and what our big goals are.
Yeah, and Krista's shared this before too, how so much of the work is in the title of the organization itself. It really is leading from within. So we ask you to do a lot of reflective work, and we help and guide you throughout the process, throughout the course of the program itself and beyond. A little bit about this program in particular. So, Leading for Community Impact, we have a strong foundation in leadership framework, and really we engage in the leadership challenge, which is a research-based curriculum of now almost 35 years. Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner, two authors and researchers from Santa Clara University, have built this kind of empire, really. But we love the way that the content helps us teach our social sector leaders here in Northern Santa Barbara County how to explore your values, how to identify them, and how to really utilize them to inform your leadership. We focus a lot on your personal and professional development. So we try to find ways to explore who you are as a leader. What is it that motivates you? How is it that you can build some strategies to sustain the passion, to sustain your energy um, for your career and the work that we do? So much of the work that we do is hard work, but it's heart work too. So we try to find ways to take care of both. A lot of the work in the program also is around nonprofit business fundamentals. So, trying to introduce our participants to general principles, high level frameworks that are all related to nonprofit management, organization culture, how to define it, how to identify it. And really, again, I feel like our secret sauce in the program is that cross sector collaboration. Going back to Leadership Challenge, we pull the Leadership Practices Inventory, which is designed to be a 360-degree assessment of you as a leader, where you have the opportunity to do some self-reflection based off of the 5 exemplary acts of leadership. And you're like, okay, so here's where I'm at today. And then you invite colleagues, your supervisor, other leaders to also give you some feedback on where it is that you are within that spectrum of those 5 exemplary acts of leadership. And then Krista and I walk you through the report to help you make sense of it, and then to also help you create a plan of action. So now you have this information. What do I do next with it? In the program, there is a capstone project. And I know, thinking to my experience at UCSB, anytime I mention a project, people run, students run. This project is designed to be a capacity building project where it's not something mythical. It's not something, it's real work, stuff that
For the
you've been
class.
wanting to do. Yeah. It's stuff that you've been wanting to do that you haven't had the time to do, that you are building in. We've built it into the curriculum where you can get feedback from your colleagues, from the cohort, and from us, and then an opportunity to engage in the curriculum and actually apply it to the capstone project. I mentioned a little bit that Krista and I jump in to help with executive coaching. So we don't just do that for the feedback piece on the leadership practices inventory. We do it 3 times where we'll again meet with you throughout the course of the program to keep checking in, to keep making sure that you are on track and where it is that you want to go in your development. And again, that big piece of peer learning and support. Each month that we meet, each time that we meet, you'll engage in small group peer learning circles where the idea and the focus, it's not a venting sesh, but it's much more of a way to encourage everyone's learning, everyone's growth in a smaller group than the bigger cohort. So again, this is our 6th year of the program, and we have a growing network of alumni committed to supporting each other's leadership. What we're really focused on, there's 4 primary goals that we're focusing on. First, being able to develop capable and confident and connected leaders. So again, clarifying that purpose, clarifying your values. And again, in service to North County, there's the reason why we had the program created that way. We also want to make sure that we're trying to find opportunities and ways to build trusting relationships among leaders. We noticed this early on in other cohorts that it almost felt like folks didn't want to pick up the phone and call each other because it felt as though there's going to be an ask here, an ask for resources or a grab at resources. And instead, now in this 6th cohort, folks are calling just to check up on each other, which is amazing. It's a different vibe than how it first started. We also want to make sure that we're cultivating a leadership pipeline of diverse and capable professionals. Everything that you learn in each session, we want you to find ways to incorporate it into the next workday and just start building it into your regular work. And lastly, again, fostering that peer network of leaders, not just this program, but again, you've heard about my participation in Catherine Harvey Fellows, other folks who've done emerging leaders. The alumni network is really kind of spread across the county and a little bit beyond. Let me see, Krista.
Yeah.
Am I missing any key pieces or anything to reiterate?
No. Beautifully done as usual. Uh, let's get, I'm going to get more into the sort of the what does a day look like? What is it? What are we asking? So the program is a 10-month program that meets each month on a Friday at Allen Hancock College in their beautiful facilities. And we one of the things that we do on our days where we meet you is that we really want you to feel like this is a day for you to invest in yourself. And so we start that very clearly with providing food and resources and things, because every other day of the year you are serving others. On this particular day, we're committed to serving you. And we're committed to creating, and we need your help in doing this, a safe place for you to focus primarily on your leadership and your needs and your growth. And that's why we have a kind of a low tech environment. We ask you not to use your computers during thing. We give you breaks. So if you have to check something in the office, check it. But more importantly, we ask you to ask your leader, please protect this time for me to learn. We start our day at 9 a.m. With an opening circle where we just reconnect with everybody and often through using a tool of a poem or something where people really sort of speak to it and speak how it connects to them. Share updates, stories, promotions, insights. Like I committed to my PLC team, I would do this, and I wanted to just report back I did. You know, those kind of fun things as a group. Then we'll have a morning workshop that will highlight a specific topic. Our workshops are very meant to be interactive. We know that you are adult learners, and as adult learners, you are incorporating what we're offering you into a wealth of knowledge you already have. We don't think of you as a bare bones person just taking in information you don't know. You're a practicing leader every single day. And so that means that the workshops have to be interactive. That means that there's a lot of conversation. That means we encourage you to ask questions or share your perspective or push back on anything. Because I think the more you engage in the topic, the more it becomes integrated into your own personal sort of mindset. We break for lunch. Obviously, we serve you lunch as well. No brown paper bags. We got you, boo. We have lunch served at noon, and about 12:15 we have everybody settle in with their lunch, and we have invited a community leader to speak to us. And the reason for that is number one, a connected community is a stronger community. We want to continue to broaden your network of people who you can reach out to. But it also, we want to the one question we ask people to do is to be really not give us their LinkedIn profile, but really to give us the inside scoop of their leadership journey. We've had people say, I was let go, I was fired, and it caused me to pivot, and that pivot led me to the thing I love most in my job. You know, we want the inside scoop, the real story, the authentic story. Part of that is we want to demystify leadership as like a ladder you go up over your career, but rather it's probably a twists and turns and U-turns and dead ends and all sorts of things. So that when you feel yourself having a twist and turn, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a leadership journey. Then we have an afternoon. Oh, and then we give you a half hour to do anything you want. That's when we really encourage you. If you have to check in with the office or return a call or do whatever, great. If you're lucky enough not to have to do that and set yourself up, walk around with a person on the Allen Hancock College, meditate for a bit, just have some quiet time, anything, go outside, anything you want to do that with that half hour, we have no qualms. And then we have an afternoon workshop, and then follow up with a peer learning circle, as Danielle described. Some of the topics are obviously the 5 parts of the leadership challenge, which are workshops on emotional intelligence. We believe that good leaders are emotionally intelligent and use emotions, yours and theirs, as data to effectively lead more effectively. Strategies for effective management that might include how to give feedback, how to onboard people, how to work with people who are struggling. Workshop on organizational culture. If you're lucky enough to create it, how do you cultivate it? If you're working with your own team and you're trying to cultivate your culture on your team, or navigate one that may or may not be functional. So those are kind of some of the workshops. The role of values in leadership. The more you are authentically who you are and know who that is, that's important. How to adopt a growth mindset. How to make sure you're doing that. But so we start the year with a pretty set curriculum, but we don't publish it and give it to you like a normal sort of college university course, partially because we want the freedom to adapt it if we're finding, hey, the group's really leaning in this direction, or they want that. Oh, actually, one of the workshops that we're starting this year that we've never done is courageous conversations, partially because people want to know how to deal with conflict. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to
Yeah.
kind of stop here because we've been talking at you for a little bit and see if you have any questions about both what Danielle and I shared or
Yes.
beyond.
And let me pause recording so that way. Okay.
One
There
more
we go.
question. What's secret squirrel? I've never heard that term
Phrase.
before.
The
It's a
secret
phrase,
squirrel.
Christy. A lot to tell you on the down low. I got a secret for you.
Okay.
An inside track. It's a word I made up. I used to call it a secret squirrel path. I used to live in San Francisco, and I would call them my secret squirrel pathways through the city.
But I said the same thing with secret sauce. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know where we got that from.
The squirrels had their nuts, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
They
That's
hide their
right.
nuts.
That's right.
Yes, secret squirrel. Yeah, you can't trust those squirrels.
So the little bit of like the nuts and bolts, who it is that we are looking for. I mean, we're looking for the number of folks to participate is 20 leaders. We've realized that that's a good number where folks are able to engage and to also build brave spaces together throughout the cohort. And again, these folks should be folks who work or serve nonprofits, government agencies, but ultimately are focused on the public good. Um, the f- the criteria, so candidates that we're looking for, again, they have to be committed to our community's well-being, our holistic well-being, and how it is that we keep growing like crazy, y'all. That they have a proven track record or high potential for leadership impact within your organization. The ability to put, again, what it is that we're learning in session, put it into work the next day. We are looking for folks who are able to support your organization's leadership and kind of be able to form that and shape that. The personal commitment to your learning, I think, is key and huge and really important. We want to make sure that you want to be here to learn. And we're really trying to find ways to cultivate diversity and the richness of class. That's more than just ethnicity, gender, but it's job function, it's organization mission. We really do a lot of work to create a cohort, a holistic cohort, and just think about how it is that everybody works well together. Any other key elements, Krista?
No, well, the other is the flip side of support of the organizational. We want your organizational leadership to support you in doing this, which means they're not going to ask you on Thursday, hey, do you have to go to that class? Can you skip it? Or I've scheduled us to, but they have a consciousness and they're as protective of you learning and growing time as you are for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to cultivate that with you up front and have them sign a letter of commitment as well. I want to kind of tell you a little bit what I think is a fun story since we're okay on time. When we were running a cohort, I think cohort 5, when COVID hit, was it 5? 5 or 4?
3, 4, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's back, yeah.
So we had a cohort going when COVID hit. And like many of us, we all suspended class and we did it. But one of the things that we kept doing in that workshop was just having coffee time. We just put aside an 8:30 in the morning, half hour just to connect with each other. How are you doing? What's going on? While we're all putting our feet back underneath us. Because remember, we all thought it was going to last a couple weeks. So 2 years later. But one of the things that we found out was one of the participants was asked by the county government to open up more shelters because one of the risk factor groups was homeless people and trying to house them and protect them during and protect our community during COVID. And so they had to find a space. One of the participants in our class happened to be a part of the superintendent's team at Lompoc, and they negotiated a space and used a school space for that. One of our participants was at the food bank and says, hey, let me just cut the red tape and make sure you're getting food delivered on day one and you're not having to work through the system. Another person was part of Parks and Rec and said, hey, it's a family shelter. Why don't we make sure that you've got toys and basketballs and things that you can use to entertain it. And all that happened right before our eyes in the middle of a session. So when we say we think a connected community is a stronger community, in so many ways, that's really what we're talking about. So let me tell you a little bit about how to fill out your worksheet. We are looking for, we have a committee of 5 or 6 people, alumni, the 2 of us, and I think the ED of board members and the ED of Leading from Within. And what we're interested in having is we're interested in trying to figure out, are you a good match for what we're offering? Because we don't want to waste 10 months of your time if what we're offering is not what you're needing. So what we're going to do is ask you to be open and honest with us about why now is a great time to invest in your leadership. To tell us what challenges you're facing in your current role, to talk about where you've hit a wall and growth. So don't, unlike other applications where you tend to tell people you can walk on water, we really encourage you not to, because we really encourage you to tell us what's really going on, why you think you need this program, what you think you'll learn, what's going on there. We're also looking for people who can be vulnerable and honest with themselves, because that's the first step in recognizing you need to change the way you're doing something, is to acknowledge that what you're doing isn't working anymore.
Or even acknowledge that you don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
trying to be willing and able to engage in an opportunity for learning. I mean, I think that's what we want to see and hear too.
Yeah. And so answer the questions that are asked. We've really made it easy. Instead of having you, we used to have you write a letter and some people didn't get to the things. We've really tag team those criteria points that Danielle just went through, which are also listed on our website, of the commitment to the community well-being proven record. Literally, we're asking the selection committee to assess each of those factors. So we're being super transparent about what that process is. So speak to them, speak to why, North County and Santa Barbara County is where you've chosen to work. Speak to, why now is the right time, how you can put what we're learning to work. So really, we really want you to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go over the top part, like the application due date and the
Yeah. So we've adjusted the due date a little bit. I think the original date was going to be for this week, the 19th. We're going to extend that quite a bit to, well, just a couple of weeks, to February 2nd, just to be able to make sure that everyone has the opportunity and enough time to complete the application form, the question form, to upload a copy of your resume, and just have that ready to go. And we talked a little bit about the cost, which is detailed on the website, but we have a couple different donors who have given funds in support of this program and the mission that Leading from Within, why it exists. So the fees that are then charged to each participating organization is really at a discount from the full cost of putting the program together. So details are there as well. But if for some reason the cost feels like there's a barrier, Ed France, who is our executive director, is here to help. And we'll make sure that you have his contact information as well, because sometimes there's some good scholarship opportunities as well. And that first date for orientation, the first date that we'll meet, is March 22nd. So it'll be kind of a fast turnaround from the February 2nd due date to when it is that the selection committee comes together to review applications and pull the cohort together. So at some point in the month of February, and hopefully it'd be no later than the end of February, you'll find out. But we want you to plan to participate just in case.
So I got a quick question. Is there normally more applicants than there is